This is Erin Moore and Molly Thornton. We will be talking to you about the efficacy of phonological awareness intervention for children with spoken language impairment. This article was written by Gail Gillian from the University of Canterbury in Christchurch, New Zealand. The publisher was the American Speech-Language Hearing Association and the journal Language, Speech, and Hearing Services in Schools, and it was copyrighted in April of 2000. The overview for this article claimed that this study aimed to answer 3 questions regarding how children with spoken language impairments, or SLI, respond to phonological awareness intervention. The first question: what effect does enhancing the awareness of sound structure have on speech production? Can such intervention improve both speech production and word recognition skills simultaneously? Can children with SLI benefit from the same type of phonological awareness intervention as children with normal speech development? And as a side note, phonological awareness is the ability to manipulate or play with sounds in words. Certain phonological skills include, but are not limited to, recognizing when words rhyme, segmenting words into the individual sounds, etc. This is a quote by Frith in 1985. It is important for speech-language pathologists to appreciate that a child's phonemic awareness and ability to phonologically decode the printed word is related to word recognition ability, particularly in the early stages or alphabetic phase of reading development. For our methods section, we'll start with the participants and the groups. There were 91 total New Zealand children ranging from ages 5 years 6 months to 7 years 6 months, with a mean age of 6 years 1 month. Children in New Zealand began schooling at around 5 years of age, so all children had at least 6 months of general education classes. And also, all of the children had to score above an 80 on the test of Nonverbal Intelligence 2, or the TONY, to prove normal cognition. Of the 91 total children, 61 had SLI with no hearing, visual, or neurological disorders. These children came from different socioeconomic statuses: 39% from high SES areas, 24% from middle, and 37% from low SES areas. The remaining 30 children composed the control group and had speech and language within normal limits. They were referred by teachers on assessments of the following battery of tests: Clay's 1993 observation survey tasks, running records, letter identification, concepts about print, word tests, writing, and dictation tasks. And these children were drawn from 4 primary schools, 2 of which were predominantly low SES schools, and the other two ranged from middle to high. The SLI participants were placed in one of 3 intervention programs. Group 1 was the experimental intervention with 23 children total, 15 males and 8 females. Group 2 was the traditional intervention control with 23 children also, with 15 males and 8 females. Group 3 had minimal intervention with 15 children, 9 males and 6 females, and Group 4 was the normal comparison group of the 30 children with 15 males and 15 females. The materials used for this experiment came from 3 different classifications. The first was for speech production measures. Pre- and post-tests comprised of words from the Goldman-Fristow test of articulation, sounds and words subtest, and the phonological variability test. Literacy measures came, the first one, the Neal analysis of reading ability, which provides a measure of children's reading accuracy or decoding, and reading comprehension when reading connected text aloud. The BERT Word Reading Test, New Zealand revision, is the test of word recognition skills. Ready to Read Word Test by Clay assesses children's ability to recognize high-frequency words from the early reading books commonly used in New Zealand schools. The Letter Identification Task, also by Clay, assesses a child's ability to identify both upper and lowercase letters. And the non-word reading task was 30 non-words were selected from the Reading Freedom Diagnostic Reading Test by Calder. Then you had phonological awareness measures, the first one being the Linda Mood Auditory Conceptualization Test, which assessed the ability to discriminate between sounds and to analyze the number and order of sounds in spoken patterns. And the Queensland University Inventory of Literacy measured school-aged children's phonological awareness ability at 3 different levels: syllable identification, spoken rhyme, and the phonemic level. Now Erin is going to talk to you about test administration.
All of the tests followed the instructions in the test manual. The tests were administered by the researcher or one of 3 speech pathologists that the researcher hired. The non-words were from the Reading Freedom Diagnostic Reading Test. These words were typed on individual cards using 26 size font in Century Gothic. These were presented in a game format. 4 cards were placed down in front of the child, and the child threw a chip on the card. The speech pathologist or the researcher then turned the card over and the child read the non-word. With the pre-test, the performance of the children with SLI was significantly below that of their peers with normal speech and reading development. Now we will discuss the results with the specifics and an individual test chart. There was an average of 4.5 months elapsed between the pre and post test. There was 20 hours of intervention for therapy for all groups. Group 1 made more improvement in their phonological awareness skills at the phonemic level when compared to Group 2 and 3. Following intervention, the phonemic awareness skills of the children in Group 1 were similar to those of Group 4, who had typical speech. Group 1 also made more improvement in their word decoding skills and their ability to read and comprehend text when compared to Group 2 and 3. Group 1 also made more improvement in their spontaneous articulation of single words when compared to Group 2 and 3. And this is a chart that shows the improvements from the Linda Mood Auditory Conceptualization Test. As you can see, Group 1 had the most gain, and the rest of them stayed about the same. These are the conclusions from this article. Phonological awareness approaches can have a huge impact on children with SLI. Phonological awareness approaches have a greater benefit than those of traditional and minimal speech and language intervention. Children with SLI still have the potential to make gains in reading development and in skills that lay the foundation for successful literacy acquisition. The general impressions of this article are as follows. There was a large sample size. This is important in studies for generalization across multiple populations. The methods were clearly explained and implemented. The hypothesis that phonological awareness will improve the phoneme awareness, speech production, reading accuracy, and reading comprehension skills were proven. Children from all socioeconomic statuses were included in this sample, and this study allowed the children to go through testing and intervention with their own speech pathologist from their school. And this is our bibliography that cites our article. Thank you for listening to our presentation.